Hey everyone, welcome to A Great Alternative. In today's video, I'm going to see if I can make some cordage out of soft rush. So considering this is episode number 1, I thought I might just give you a bit more brief introduction into my plan for this series. I've been inspired by a few different channels, but in particular Foraged Fibres, and they do lots of different really beautiful weaving projects, but they also use a wide variety of natural materials, and they opened my eyes to quite a few different things. So inspired by those videos, I thought I would make this series, where my long-term goal is that I end up with this huge library of varying things that might include the obvious like nettle and hemp and stuff like that, but also some of the really bizarre things that you wouldn't have thought of, and maybe you can't find if people have tried it elsewhere. Hopefully these videos are going to follow a similar format. So starting off will be a rough kind of overall IDing of the plant, when to harvest it, specifically for cordage, other uses that you might find for that plant, and then the how to harvest, how to potentially prepare and store, and then obviously making the cordage. But for episode number 1, we're talking about soft rush. Soft rush has tall, thin, smooth, bright green to yellowish rounded stems without leaves that are more flexible and a brighter green than those of the similar hard rush. Its pale brown flowers are borne in loose, rounded clusters. Juncus effusus, or soft rush, has a wide distribution, considered native in Europe, Asia, Africa, Madagascar, North America and South America. It has naturalized in Australia, New Zealand, South Africa and various oceanic islands. It grows well in wet areas, such as wetlands and marshes, with sandy and peaty substrates. It's common throughout the British Isles by rivers, streams and lakes, in wet heathland and pastures. Also, each stem produces a tufty flower from May to August. Soft rush has a pith running throughout the stem, which brings me on to uses. It can be used, and has been used in the past, to make a candle with, where they may soak it in an animal fat and use it like a candle wick. Some cultures eat the seeds and the bottom of the shoots in spring times, although it can be toxic, so please be wary about that and do your own research before you go chewing on any stem. It also has various weaving outputs, obviously from things like cordage that we're going to show today, but it's also most commonly used to make things like the St. Bridget's cross. When harvesting soft rush, cut at the base of the plant, it will stimulate new growth, so I wouldn't worry too much about how much you take, because normally they're fairly abundant where they are, but please bear that in mind and don't obviously take an entire field's worth at once. As for storing, you want a warm, dry area, hopefully with some kind of ventilation or wind to be able to get in between it, just to stop any mold or things like that. Right, on to making our cordage. So I'm going to show 2 different ways. Firstly, the way that I did first of all, which was to try and get rid of the pith in the middle. And the way that I do that would be by using my thumbnail and kind of, it's not necessarily cutting it in half because you're just splitting one side, and then you're running that all the way up, and that enables you to peel it back and get your thumb again and just go whoop and run it all the way up. You don't have to make that noise, and then get rid of the pith that way. Once you've done that, inevitably it might not all come off in one, you might have to split some of the bits. You end up with something like this. This is where I've done that in the past, and this is lots of different fibres that are just the outer fibres of the plant itself. The method we're going to try today is one that I was told after I tried this method, where supposedly you don't have to get rid of the pith. This is where you get your harvested soft rush, like we've got here, and you dry it. And that's it. Not really any preparation. What I've done here today is I've got this water and given it a spray. I think in the past, if I have sort of dunked it and left it in water, but because it's so fine, it's then prone to kind of get a bit mushy quite quick, which is why giving it a spray like this, and then if you're waiting for a bit of time, like I did at the start of this video, you can just fold it back over and in a damp towel like this, and then that hopefully will stay for a little while you're weaving. Also, while I'm twisting and making the cordage, I'll then potentially spray or just wet my hands each time I get a new piece as well, just to make sure that you're not using dry material. So for these videos, we're going to try a simple type of cordage, which is just a 2-ply cordage. And the way you do that is get your bundle. I'm going to, I think, again, this is the first video, in a way I'm kind of making it up as I go along. But I'm thinking I want to plan for the cordage to be roughly the same diameter, which I'm hoping for around a pencil thickness. So what I'm going to do is grab 2 bundles that will then make up that thickness that I want. That's a bit too much. Let's put some back. And then I've swapped them over so that one end has the thicker pieces facing upwards and one end has the thinner pieces facing upwards. All you want at the moment is for them to be level in the middle. So we've crossed them over, we've put them together, and then all you do is twist. Keep twisting. And then you'll reach a point where the twist will get so tight that it will then kind of turn itself into a circle like this. So tension just naturally, it wants to do that. It wants to just go over and twist into a circle. I've now got them both in my hand. I'm facing the material and I'm twisting away from me with the outermost piece of cord, and then coming over the top so that it's now sitting on the left. And then I'm getting, again, the outer or right, however you want to describe it, piece, giving it a twist, and then doing the same. At this stage, I've found that having my thumb holding the material is the easiest way to keep it fairly nice and tight. But once you get past this stage, you can then maybe put it on a hook or something that kind of holds it in place. And in essence, that's it. When I see, for example, I've got one here that's about to finish, so I'll get another piece and then lie it alongside the others, twist, and continue. And the skill in doing this, which I don't think I have right now, is to try and make it a uniform thickness all of the way through. That's how you get a really nice cordage, especially if you're going to use it, like myself, for sort of weaving purposes. Also, once you reach a certain stage, you should be able to let go of the material and it will pretty much hold itself in place. And you just keep going until you're happy with the result. And there we have some finished cordage. I have done today a few different examples. So we've got some fresh stuff here and then compared to the dry, just so you can see the difference in color. Now, obviously, if I can make this fresh and it looks lovely today, but probably by tomorrow it will have dried out quite a bit. Within a couple of weeks, it will have definitely dried out and it will separate a lot and it will be nigh on unusable, basically. It won't be very nice. So we've ended up with this cordage, which was made out of the dried stuff with pith in, and this stuff, which is the dried stuff with the pith out. Now, please comment down below if you can help me. I am certain this is both exactly the same thing. There may be different varieties of soft rush, but as far as I'm aware, they've been dried in the same way. For some reason, this had stayed green and this has gone to brown. I'm not certain why that is. Please comment down below if you know why that might be. What I did notice with the stuff that has the pith in is that I was having to kind of squeeze and kind of crush the pith a little bit when I was really tightening up, because if I didn't do that, it was adding kind of air and gaps in. So I had to sort of work a little bit harder to get it to really tie together tight and twist together tight, sorry, while I was making that cordage. It's why I've also experimented with this one here, which is a 3-ply cordage, because compared to 2-ply cordage, 3-ply is a much rounder cordage, and personally I think it's a bit more aesthetic. It's also a bit more flexible. So for example, these ones, they're quite flexible now. You know, this is fairly flexible now, fresh, but I think when this dries, it will become a little bit more brittle and potentially, obviously, a little bit weaker because of that. Overall, what have I learned? Yes, you can make cordage from soft rush. If you don't take the pith out, makes it really simple. It's a plentiful plant. It's Easy to harvest, easy to dry, easy to prepare like this. If you take the pith out, yes, that is a bit more faff, it takes a bit more time, but again, I think it ends up with quite a nice result that is slightly different. And my guess is that the one with the pith taken out will last longer and be more flexible than the one with the pith still in, because I think that'll be a slightly more prone to breaking once it's really dry. Thanks again everyone for watching this video. If you've got any other ideas for natural materials that I can try and make cordage out of, please comment down below. Also like, share, but lastly, I'm going to do one more test, just as a bit of fun. Can one strand of this cordage hold my weight? Let's see. Otherwise, thanks again everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Ready? No. And second one with pith taken out. Oh, hello. Oh, bit more, bit more.